Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mummy Bhattacharya, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits air crash site in Ahmedabad, meets the injured and the lone survivor. Black box of the Air India plane also recovered. Iran targets Israel with hundreds of drones after losing top commanders and nuclear scientists. World leaders urge for restraint. Iranian president vows a tough response to attacks. And US court says President Trump can deploy National Guard troops in Los Angeles. First, updates from Ahmedabad plane crash tragedy as investigation gains momentum. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has confirmed that the back box of the plane has been recovered from the rooftop of a building. Investigators have recovered a digital flight data recorder from the debris of the Air India plane in Ahmedabad. AAIB said the investigation began with full force immediately after the retrieval. It is a crucial device that records key flight information such as speed, engine performance, and pilot inputs, helping in the investigation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the loss of numerous lives in the tragic air accident in Gujarat's Ahmedabad. He conveyed his condolences to the bereaved families, acknowledging the immense pain and loss they are enduring. Earlier today, PM Modi visited the site of the Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad to assess the situation firsthand. The Prime Minister met with officials and emergency response teams working tirelessly in the aftermath of the disaster. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel and Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu were also present at the site. Expressing solidarity with the affected families, PM Modi met those injured in the aftermath, including the lone survivor, and assured them of the nation's unwavering support during this difficult time. Prime Minister Modi also chaired a meeting with ministers and senior officials at Ahmedabad airport to take stock of the situation in the wake of the Air India plane crash. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the plane crash site, he posted his message of grief and condolence on X. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Visited the crash site in Ahmedabad today. The scene of devastation is saddening. Met officials and teams working tirelessly in the aftermath. Our thoughts remain with those who lost their loved ones in this unimaginable tragedy." In another post, PM Modi said, "We are all devastated by the air tragedy in Ahmedabad. The loss of so many lives in such a sudden and heartbreaking manner is beyond words. Condolences to all the bereaved families. We understand their pain and also know that the void left behind will be felt for years to come. Om Shanti." The PM also said met those injured in the aftermath of the tragic plane crash in Ahmedabad, including the lone survivor, and assured them that we are with them and their families in this tough time. The entire nation is praying for their speedy recovery. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled the passing of a former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, who tragically lost his life in the Ahmedabad air tragedy. PM Modi met the family members of Vijay Rupani and remembered him as a humble and hard-working leader. The Prime Minister highlighted Rupani's distinguished career, recalling his contributions across various roles, including his tenure in the Rajkot Municipal Corporation as Rajya Sabha MP, Gujarat BJP President, and as a Cabinet Minister in the state government. The sole survivor of the crash, a British national of Indian origin, is in hospital. DD India correspondent spoke to him a short while back. Listen in.
The lone survivor who miraculously survived this fatal air crash is with us, is undergoing treatment at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. What was the situation yesterday? Can you describe for us, please?
I can't explain. Everything happened in my eye. I can't.
How did you manage to escape?
I just
Did you pull the emergency doors?
no. Emergency door is broken.
Yeah.
My seat is broken.
Yeah.
Then I see the pace little bit.
Yeah.
Then I will try to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So, did the aircraft catch fire before you came out?
Yes,
Okay.
a little bit fire. After me, I'm out. Then blast.
So, did anybody help you, or you after that you came out on your own? How did you jump from the aircraft?
I'm not jumping.
Okay.
I just walk out.
Okay.
Then ambulance coming in.
You did walk out on the building, or
No, in floor.
on the floor?
Yes, inside the aeroplane.
Only there.
Yeah.
So, and you managed to get into the ambulance there. What did Prime Minister tell you? What was the conversation?
He's just asking me everything is okay. That's it.
You're feeling better now.
Yes.
And where your family? Where's your family? Are you-
Everybody's in London. Yes. Me and my brother staying in India last 8-9 months. And yesterday I was going to back to London. It happened everything in there.
How do you feel that you have survived this kind of?
I can't explain. It's miracle everything.
So here we have the lone survivor of the crash, definitely at a loss of words of what he saw yesterday, and definitely something that nobody can encapsulate in words in terms of the massive tragedy that has struck with this airplane crash. What we also understand that this lone survivor is the only witness of what had happened that day. Besides, a number of people who were at the hostel mess during lunch have also faced serious injuries and are being treated at this hospital, the civil hospital here in Ahmedabad. With camera person Vinod Oja, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Ahmedabad, Gujarat.
DD India correspondent Meghna Dev now joins us live from Ahmedabad. Meghna, black box of the ill-fated plane has been recovered. How will it help crack the case?
Well, Munmun, that was very important. Everybody was waiting it to be recovered, and it has been recovered from the rooftop of where this plane crashed. Now, what we can understand and what experts tell us that it sometimes takes weeks to months to decode this and to completely investigate the black box. Besides, very importantly, now it will be easier for the committee to understand, to investigate that what were the how was the parameters, was everything okay while the flight took off, because clearly it is very evident in the video also that the flight couldn't there was no propulsion, couldn't climb, and that's the reason it just fell off a very not very far from the perimeter of the airport. So clearly there was a snag, or there was something that went wrong, which couldn't even let the flight climb the altitude. So evidently the aircraft accident investigation bureau, the team is working. We did also see the NIA was there. We also saw the forensic teams working since early morning today to actually collect whatever evidence they can. Besides, also we did clearly see the debris of the aircraft. Aircraft was clearly torn into pieces once this blast happened, and so definitely the impact of the blast was such, because of the fuel, that it resulted in such a massive fire, thick smoke, also a lot of injury to the people who were in the building, the medical students especially. We also did speak to the medical students. They told us that they felt as if it was an earthquake, and after that they did also clearly tell us that they tried to run away from there, but the rubble fell on them and they were trapped in it. That's how they did get trapped. But few of the locals who went inside and helped them were also the few of the locals who went inside to help them escape. They also were caught in the smoke, and some of them fainted there, nausea, vomiting, and because of the thick smoke. So a few of them are also admitted in the hospital. But currently, what we get to understand is most of them are stable. Besides Munmun, I would like to also highlight the British High Commission officials from Delhi have reached Ahmedabad. So now the basically what the process is taking place is of the DNA sampling that is being done very proactively, so that because the DNA testing results also take time. So the mortal remains of the people who have lost their lives in this tragic accident will be given to their relatives once the DNA testing is done, because what we saw yesterday clearly very severely charred bodies and fragmented bodies for that matter. So clearly it is very difficult to identify the mortal remains.
Right, Meghna, you had spoken to the sole survivor of the air crash, and PM Modi had also met him, and those injured. You're telling us that those injured are recovering. What more can you tell us about the treatment that they are getting? How soon are they
Yes.
expected to leave hospital?
Few of the people who were locals who did try to help Munmun, they have been discharged already because they sustained minor injuries. So they were let go of with some first aid and basic medicines and little assistance. But few of the people are unstable. We get to know that one person who was a medical student is in ICU. That is what we get to know. There were people who were working in the mess, the cooks who are working in the mess. They are also bruised. The sole survivor, clearly you see the scars on his faces, and his arm has got a shock, and his arm is also there's sustained burns. So clearly there was a lot of obviously there was panic, but the kind of intensity and impact that this had very clearly did obviously. His family is on the way. What we get to know that the lone survivor's family is on his way to come to Ahmedabad. What we also know that the Indian High Commission in London has given out a number, a helpline number, wherein people, the next to kin of the deceased, whoever wants to come to meet their relatives, to take back their relatives or repatriate the mortal remains, can get emergency visas, can apply for emergency visas, which the High Commission will be quickly expediting the applications. So that is also what the administration is helping with. We also again know that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to his UK counterpart David Lammy. He also spoke to his Portuguese counterpart and also Canadian counterpart Anita Anand to told them about the situation and also assured them of all possible assistance that will take place. So now the British High Commission officials are here to ensure that all the documentation process, DNA sampling, handing over of mortal remains, as well as repatriation, all of this will be done in coordination with the state administration. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi definitely did visit today and clearly held a high-level meeting, ensuring that further action, whatever further action and whatever further process is to be done by the FSL, the Forensic Science Laboratory, NFSU, and other agencies is on time. Besides, obviously, a very important aspect is the investigation, which we have been telling you already.
Right, we'll leave it at that. Meghna Dev reporting from Ahmedabad. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar stresses on strategic value of connectivity at the Raisina Mediterranean 2025 in France. And Bangladesh's Mohammad Yunus meets acting chairman of Bangladesh Nationalist Party or BNP in London. Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the dots at these times with me, only on DDN. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. Moving on, in the early hours of Friday, Israel struck Iran, targeting its nuclear plant as well as military sites. The strikes killed Iranian commanders and targeted missile factories of Iran, Iran's ballistic missile program, and its Natanz uranium enrichment facility. Iran has vowed severe consequences while accusing the US of having a hand in Israel's attacks. Washington denies any involvement, calling it a unilateral action by Tel Aviv. Ayushi Bhatnagar reports.
Iran's nuclear ambitions were jolted when several areas woke up to loud explosions early this Friday. Israel pounded Iran in a series of air raids, striking more than 100 targets, including Tehran's nuclear and military sites, and killing the armed forces' chief of staff, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, and the commander of Iran's emergency command. Israel said it has also targeted Iranian missile factories, its ballistic missile program, and its Natanz uranium enrichment facility. Giving details of the strikes, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a recorded video message that the operation would continue for days.
We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program.
Nuclear scientist Faridun Abbasi Dawani and Mohammad Mehdi Tehranchi were also killed in Israeli strikes. Israel's Revolutionary Guards vowed revenge. The country has declared a state of emergency following its Operation Rising Lion. Israeli officials said Iran had enough material to make 15 nuclear bombs within days. Meanwhile, enraged by the attacks, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned that Israel would suffer severe consequences. In a statement, Iran's foreign ministry said that the United States will be responsible for the consequences of Israel's adventurism. The Trump administration sought to distance the US from the strikes, with the Secretary of State Marco Rubio calling them a unilateral action. He highlighted that Washington was not involved, while also urging Tehran not to target US interests or personnel in the region. US President Donald Trump will also attend a National Security Council meeting on Friday at around 1500 GMT. Iran, Jordan, and Iraq announced the closure of their airspace. Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport will remain closed until further notice. Israel also closed its checkpoints in the occupied West Bank region. Israel's army spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin said on Friday that Iran launched over 100 UAVs towards Israel, urging its citizens to be resilient and patient.
In the last few hours, Iran has launched over 100 UAVs from its territory and towards the state of Israel's territory. All aerial defense systems operate to intercept the threats. We are still in for rough hours.
The world also reacted to the growing tensions between Israel and Iran, urging the nations to seek diplomacy and dialogue. While French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself against all attacks. Ayushi Bhatnagar's report for DD India.
Iran on Friday called Israel's strikes a declaration of war, with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian warning Tel Aviv that their powerful response will make the enemy regret its foolish act. Pezeshkian said that the Iranian nation and officials will not remain silent in the face of this crime. The president also said now national unity is now essential more than any other time. Earlier, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned Israel it faced a bitter and painful fate over the attacks, while the Iranian military said that there were no limits to its response. The Iranian leadership has described the attack as a clear act of terrorism and aggression. US President Donald Trump has urged Iran to make a deal, warning that there will be more death and destruction. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said, and I quote, "There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter with the next already planned attacks even more brutal to come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left. Just do it before it is too late, unquote. Trump's comments came after Israel pounded Iran in a series of air raids on Friday, striking 100 targets. Calling the attack unilateral action by Israel, NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte said that it is crucial for NATO allies, including the United States, to work to de-escalate the situation in the Middle East.
Well, it is obviously a rapidly evolving situation. This was a unilateral action by Israel. So I think it is crucial for many allies, including the United States, to work as we speak to de-escalate. I know they're doing that. And I think that is now the first order of the day.
India on Friday expressed deep concern over the escalating tensions between Iran and Israel and called for restraint from both sides. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a statement urging diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation. The ministry said that India is deeply concerned at the recent developments between Iran and Israel and is closely monitoring the evolving situation, including reports related to attacks on nuclear sites. India has urged both nations to avoid further escalation and instead engage through established diplomatic channels. As the Israel-Iran tensions reignite, the region of West Asia is nervous about the direction in which these escalations may lead to. International affairs expert Andreas Theophanis speaks exclusively with DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh on the evolving situation.
With the recent Israeli strikes on Iran, the region has been thrown into a new risk of escalation and conflict. To talk about it, we have with us an important authority in the domain. We have with us Professor Andreas Theophanis, President of the Cyprus Center for European and International Affairs. Professor Theophanis, thank you for speaking with DD India. Your thoughts on these new escalations between Iran and Israel?
Okay. The Middle East, the broader Middle East, is one of the most volatile regions in the world, and certainly developments in this part of the world have implications and repercussions beyond. And unfortunately, in the last few years, various efforts towards negotiating peaceful outcomes have not given any fruitful results.
If you look at the role of the United States, we understand that over the issue of Iran's nuclear ambitions, US and Iran have been in talks, but these escalations are taking place despite that. What is your assessment of the role that US could play in the circumstances?
I think the role of the US in containing the crisis and promoting some kind of a resolution could be very important under the current circumstances. We'll have to see the developments, how they unfold.
And what is your sense of what could be the road ahead for Israel, Iran, and the nations in the region?
Well, I mean, for years, Israel has been considering Iran as the source of efforts to destabilize Israel. And so there has been a cycle of violence, that we have witnessed. So this attack that has taken place a few hours ago, it was not a complete surprise. Israel was warning, and this came despite the negotiations between Israel and Iran. Certainly there must be international efforts, especially from the United States, to address these issues, but at the same time, it's also important to address the overall political problems in the whole Middle East.
Sir, thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was Professor Andreas Theophanis giving us a perspective on the new escalations between Iran and Israel and the manner in which it threatens the stability of the regions and the nations in it. With camera person Senthil, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Nicosia, Cyprus.
Speaking at the Raisina Mediterranean 2025 dialogue, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar emphasized the long-term significance of connectivity in shaping global geopolitics. Sharing the stage with Armenian Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan, Francisco Parisi and Abigail Vassilo, Jaishankar said connectivity is a long game, but when it is done, it puts a profound impact on the world.
We are making very major investments in railways, okay, and then trying to connect Eastern India all the way to Vietnam. So actually, if we can pull that off, you will get from Europe a route all the way to the Pacific, which will be significantly land-based, but partly sea-based. And in some ways, it would be a counter to a reliance on Arctic whenever the Arctic opens up. So it is, the connectivity game, I think, and this is a long game. I mean, connectivity initiatives, multiple decadal, And when they are done, remember, I mean, the Suez Canal took ages to make, but once it was done, you see what a profound impact it's had on the world.
Bangladesh's next general election may take place in the second week of February 2026 as agreed by Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh, Mohammad Yunus, and Bangladesh Nationalist Party Acting Chairperson Tariq Rahman in a historic meeting in London on Friday. Reading out the statement in a press briefing, National Security Advisor of Bangladesh Khalidur Rahman said Tariq proposed to Dr. Yunus to hold the elections before Ramadan next year, which is likely to start on 17th February, subject to lunar sighting. The much-hyped meeting between Yunus and Tariq ended after nearly 1.5 hours of discussions on various crucial issues ahead of the general election in Bangladesh. A U.S. appeals court on Thursday temporarily allowed President Donald Trump to continue deploying National Guard troops in Los Angeles during ongoing protests against intensified immigration enforcement. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals paused an earlier ruling by U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer, who had declared the deployment unlawful and ordered the Guard returned to California Governor Gavin Newsom's control. Although the pause does not indicate the appeals court's final stance, it allows Trump to retain authority over the Guard for now. The decision follows a week of protests centered around a federal detention center in downtown Los Angeles, where National Guard troops have been stationed. That's all in this edition of DD India Live, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.